time with Mr. Lamata. He will be starting soon. Oh, story time with Mr. Lamata, where all your dreams come true. Oh, he brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't leave lonely, won't you start all the reading? I just can't wait to be hearing story time with Mr. Lamata. He will be starting soon. Oh, story time with Mr. Lamata, where all your dreams come true. Oh, he brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't leave lonely, won't you start all the reading? I just can't wait to be hearing.
Good morning and welcome to Storytime. Thank you for joining me. Happy Friday to you and your loved ones, wherever you're joining us from today. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time to spend a few minutes with us here and learn important lessons with the team from the National Marine Mammal Foundation and, of course, Storytime as always. Thank you so much for being here. Good morning to you and welcome. Please let me know where you're joining in from and who is joining in with you. And, of course, if you're joining in alone, it is still very much okay. You are welcome to be here with us. Thank you for being here. Please, I hope you've had a wonderful week. And you know what? I'm wishing you an even better weekend, a lovely one that maybe where you're able to spend some time outside. I do have an amazing team with me today, and they will be coming on very shortly. But please do stay tuned. And also, I'm encouraging you, go to the Storytime website and print out this Franciscana dolphin coloring sheet, and we also have our word search, and we also have a puzzle. So please go there and find it and get ready, because we will be having a lot of fun. We'll be learning a lot today. And a big thank you, of course, to the National Marine Mammal Foundation for sending their wonderful team today and for being here with us. Excited for that. And we will be reading an amazing book to boot. PACO the Pink Dolphin. Yes, an Amazon River adventure written and illustrated by SARAH Huang. So please do join in, do stick around and enjoy what we have for you today. Let us see who is joining us right this moment. Good morning to you, or is it good evening to you? How are you doing out in Lusaka, Zambia? Jonathan Pande, and of course Mapalo, Daisy, Pearl, and Chanda. And I hope your mom Sally is doing great too. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you're surviving that heat in Lusaka. Thank you for being here. Good morning to you. Good morning to you, Amanda West. How are you doing today out in Illinois? And of course, my favorite people, Nathan and Sarah. How are you doing today? Say it is sunny out where you are. And of course, you say, we hope everyone's will have a great weekend. Well, thank you. We hear you loud and clear. Thank you so much for those positive vibes. Good morning to you, Chriselle, Rocco, and Clay. How are you doing out in, or today you're in Denver, Colorado? Well, yes, usually you're coming in from Long Beach, California. Thank you so much for being here today. How is Denver? Good morning to you, Camille, as well. Thank you so much for being here and welcome to Storytime. Good morning to you, Ellen Edwards in Chicago. As always, a big hug for you. Thank you so much for joining me. How are you doing today, Ellen? And I hope you're having a wonderful time out in sunny Chicago. Enjoy the sun. Enjoy it. And you know you always bring the sunshine here to Storytime. I appreciate you a ton. Thank you so much for being here. Good morning to you, Abraham in San Leandro, right close to me. How are you doing today? And of course, your mom, Terry, how are you? Thank you for joining in Storytime. Mulishani Mkwai, thank you for joining us. Welcome. Well, without much ado, please join me in welcoming the wonderful people that we have for you today from the National Marine Mammal Foundation. And to kick us off, please welcome to the studio, Dr. Forrest Gomez. How are you doing, Dr. Gomez?
I am fine. Thank you so much for having me today.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you for joining us. And of course, we have Brittany Novick joining us as well. Thank you so much for being here. How are you doing, Brittany?
There we go. Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yes, wonderful. I am so glad you're here with us. And of course, Adriana, Negron-Olivo, how are you doing today?
I am doing great. How's everyone doing? We have people from all over the world, and I am so excited to share what the National Marine Mammal Foundation has for all of you guys today. So excited to be here.
Yeah, no, this is wonderful. I know that you do amazing work, and I cannot wait for everybody to know out there. And you have fun activities that you've prepared for us too. So excited to see those. And of course, we will be talking a lot more about what you're doing and getting your take on many, many things that happen out there. Of course, marine mammal related and just life in general. So thanks so much for being here. And I think I'll pass it on. Is it Brittany who are going to start us off? Thank you.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. I just wanted to do a brief introduction on who we are, who the National Marine Mammal Foundation is. We are so happy to be with you all today. So we are here calling in from sunny San Diego, California. We are a 501c nonprofit located here, and our mission is to improve and protect life for marine mammals, humans, and our shared oceans through science, service, and education. So what that means is we don't just care about marine mammals, right? We care about the entire health of an entire ecosystem and all the people who are surrounded by and affected by that ecosystem. I want to introduce to you all of us that are on the call today. But first, I wanted to give you a little insight. So the National Marine Mammal Foundation has the privilege of providing care and research to different marine mammal species all over the world. We are a women-led organization, and our vision is to be the leading laboratory in marine mammal science, answering critical questions to not only animal health and welfare, but also conservation as well. So you can see here on this map, we've worked with many different species all throughout the coast here. Beluga whales up in Alaska. We provide relief support to the stranding centers, rescuing and rehabilitating the California sea lions and elephant seals. We've also done a lot of great work with critically endangered species like the vaquita porpoise down in Mexico, and have studied the impacts of oil spill on dolphins in the Gulf of Mexico. So we are very knowledgeable in marine mammal health and science, and we are so happy to be sharing our work with you today. A little bit about myself. So I am actually originally from a very small farm town right outside of Cleveland, Ohio. I went to Bowling Green State University, studied marine and aquatic biology, but I was also an athlete. I was a national champion figure skater. I was in marching band in college. I was on color guard, but drumline too, if there's any drumline people out there. But I've done a lot of work with different fish species, sharks, and marine mammals as well. I've worked for the National Marine Mammal Foundation for about 7.5 years now, and it has been an absolute joy. And I'm so happy to be here with all of you. So I want to introduce you to my colleague here, Miss Adriana. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. Like Brittany said, my name is Adriana, and I was born and raised in a little island in the Caribbean called Puerto Rico. And I always like to say that in that island, I had 3 constants. I had the ocean, the mountains, and my family. I also had a very different upbringing than most, and that's because I have 6 male cousins and 2 older brothers, all male. So I was the only girl in the entire family. So I didn't know what impact that had on my life then, but I definitely know what impact that has on my life now. And I learned at a very young age that there was really no difference between the boys and me. Anything that the boys were doing, I could do. So that led into, what are you going to do for college? Well, my 2 older brothers left the island to go to college. They happened to be in a full ride scholarships with the military, and they would encourage me to join the military so I could work for an organization that provided care to the Navy Marine Mammal Program. And I had no interest. I did not want to join anything related to the military. But I created my own path. I went to Iowa State University, got my degree in animal ecology with a pre-vet and wildlife care option. I wanted to be a veterinarian, but I graduated and I said, oh my God, there's so many other things to do with animals and to inspire animals. So I decided to become an animal care specialist. I've worked with sea lions, seals, penguins, otters, dolphins, But now I work for the National Marine Mammal Foundation, which is the same organization that my siblings were telling me when I was a kid that I should just join and be part of. So I work as an educator at the foundation, and I am extremely excited to be here today. Peter, Mr. Lamata, thank you so much for having us. We've been talking about this for months, and I am just incredibly excited to be here today. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Adriana. And of course, last but not least, I am so happy to introduce you to Dr. Forrest Gomez. Go ahead and take it away.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, Peter and Brittany and Adriana, for the warm welcome and introduction. I'm really excited. I was really excited when Brittany and Adriana asked me to join today. I'm always excited to do education and outreach programs and to talk, especially to young people, about what I'm so passionate about. But it was a very quick yes, because Mr. Lamata happens to be from my hometown, which is Oakland, California. And so when I heard whoop, whoop, I had to give a shout out. And then as I learned more about Mr. Lamata, I learned that he actually teaches at the elementary school, which is on the street that I moved to as a sophomore in high school. And my mother still lives there to this day. So another shout out for that school and Lawton Avenue.
Go Cheetahs!
It's really fun to connect with people from home. I was raised there, and anyone that does live in Oakland or that is from Oakland knows that we are proud folk for whatever reason. And I think it is the incredible diversity and history that city has, strong roots in activism and politics, as well as just so culturally diverse that, to be honest, it's been really hard to go anywhere else. My heart is still in Oakland in many ways. So anyways, hello to Oakland. And just really quickly about myself, I did go to UC Berkeley following growing up in Oakland, so not very far away, right next door. I studied abroad. While I was there, I have always been very passionate about travel and culture and exploring. And also, I like to tell younger people that I also was not the most confident person academically. So I knew from a very young age that I wanted to be a veterinarian, probably like age 3 or 4. I started telling my parents that's what I wanted to do. I've always just inherently loved animals. But at UC Berkeley, I got very overwhelmed by the pre-med requirements and the intensity of that track. And it also didn't allow me to explore this other side of myself that loves culture and language, etc. So I ended up landing in the anthropology department, which allowed me to travel and study abroad, and also allowed me to dive into Dr. Jane Goodall's work through their primatology courses. And so I spent my college career mostly focused on that and studying abroad, but still wanted to be a veterinarian deep in my heart. I was lucky enough to land at Monterey Bay Aquarium through a paid internship program that they have to this day there. And it opened my world to the world of marine science, which was near and dear to my heart. My parents met in Hawaii, and so the ocean has always been a very important part of my life, as well as nature in general. And so the aquarium really, honestly, completely changed my life. I fell under the guidance of an incredible mentor there, Dr. Mike Murray, and he convinced me that even though I loved my job as a sea otter trainer, that I could become a veterinarian and that I was smart enough and that I could do it. And so I went back to school at night and on the weekends and took the classes that I needed little by little. And eventually I did make it to veterinary school at UC Davis. And did a lot with all kinds of animals. Some people know that they just want to do dog and cat, and some people know that they want to be a marine mammal vet. I loved my marine mammal path, but I also got there and was just enamored with all of it. The picture up in the top is me treating sheep after a big fire that went through the surrounding areas. I spent a lot of time in the large animal barn, knowing that the techniques that we use on those animals can be easily applied to marine mammals. I then did an internship in Santa Rosa, California at a large specialty practice in small animal medicine and surgery, and practiced as an ER vet for a while because I just really wanted to get my chops and learn kind of the basics, because what I do now is very niche-y. And so I really very much enjoyed my time there, and was also blessed with incredible mentors that continued to encourage me. Following that, I went back to marine mammals and did a fellowship in marine mammal medicine in San Diego, working with managed care dolphins and sea lions. And now my passion is translating everything that we learn in that setting with animals that we can easily have access to, and bringing that into the wild and trying to help wild populations survive, and ultimately also help the communities that rely on the ecosystems that these animals live in thrive and survive as well, because we're all so interconnected. So I love where I've kind of landed, because it combines my love of people and culture with my love of animals. My Oakland, Berkeley desire to do good and ideally save the world with all of you. And it also allows me to travel a little bit, which is nice. But as a new mom, that can be a little bit challenging, but we're finding the way. And my son is a new inspiration to do good. So that's my story real quick.
That's really great. Thank you, Forrest. I am going to hand it back over to Mr. Lamata, and then we will go from there.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you. I'm so happy to have you all here. Thank you. And Dr. Gomez, thank you for carrying that Oakland flag high out there. All right. So we're going to get into our book for today, PACO the Pink Dolphin. I hope you're excited for it. And a big thank you, of course, to Amazing Things Press, and of course, Casey out there for allowing us to read this book right here on Storytime. And also a big thank you to SARAH Huang, the author and illustrator of this wonderful book. So let's get ready and get started with this one. PACO the Pink Dolphin, an Amazon River adventure. Are you ready for it? Yes. All right. PACO the Pink Dolphin, an Amazon River adventure. Text and illustrations by SARAH Huang, and published and read with permission of Amazing Things Press. A few dedications on there. The Amazon River is a very long river. Above the water, the river provides everything to the local people. Villagers grow crops on the riverbanks. They live in wooden houses and travel in wooden boats. In one of these houses, Gabriella lives with her family. She is a young girl, but she helps out with household work. Every Sunday, her dad takes her family on the boat to the market. Gabriella notices a pink dolphin following their boat all the time. She always says hi to the dolphin and tells her dad his name is PACO. The water in the Amazon River is very muddy. Gabriella is always curious about what's in the water. Her friends tell her that there is a kingdom built by the pink dolphins using magic. The underwater world is enchanted and magical. Gabriella wonders what it is like living in the enchanted underwater world. Would you want to live there? One night, while she's sleeping, she hears some whispers. Come play with me. She opens her sleepy eyes. Under the moonlight, she sees a boy dressed in white standing in the corner of the wooden house. Who was it? Gabriella is scared, so she closes her eyes and falls back to sleep. The next day, she tells her parents about her dream. The village is usually a very safe place, but just in case, her papa installs a lock on their wooden door, and her mama tells her not to get close to the edge of the house at night. She has no dreams for many nights. One day, Mama and Papa are out all day harvesting rice. They come home really tired. After stacking bags of rice in the corner, they forget to lock the door before going to bed. Come play with me. Gabriella hears whispers again. She gets up and finds the same boy now standing by her bed. He says, "Hey, my name is Paco. You don't have to be afraid of me. I am the dolphin you always see. Do you want to see what lives under the water? I will show you the enchanted underwater world. Come play with me." Gabriella really wants to see the enchanted, so she follows Paco's lead to the edge of the house. The moon is shining and the water seems warm and inviting. Paco jumps into the water and Gabriella follows him. Gabriella is surprised because she realizes that she can swim and breathe freely underwater. And Paco has turned into a pink river dolphin. They swim deeper into the water. They swim for a while. A group of piranhas come by and say hi. They all have sharp, shiny teeth. Would you be scared? They swim on and see two manatees. Paco says, "Meet my best friends, Matthew and Natalie." Next, they meet Neil, the electric eel, Carlos, the turtle, and Paola, the arapaima fish. They are huge. Paco says, "We are here just in time for the party." Gabriella sees many dolphins gathering at the temple, singing and dancing with each other. Paco explains, pink dolphins have lived here long before there were humans. The temple gives us magic powers. At the party, Paco finds Gabriella looking in the direction of the shore and asks her, "Gabriella, why are you sad?" She tells Paco, "I miss home. I miss my family." Paco says, "I don't want you to be sad. So let me bring you back to your parents." He gives Gabriella a conch shell. "We will meet on the river again." Gabriella arrives home and hugs her new friend Paco, the pink dolphin. Goodbye. "Gabby, time to wake up. We're going to the market today." She hears her mama calling her. Gabriella knows she will see Paco on the river again. The end. And there is also an author's message at the back, and I won't get into that today, but just if you do find this book at your local library, please get it, request it from your local librarians, and also get it where you get books. Go to the Storytime website and you'll be able to find a link on where you can get that book. But in the back here, it talks about some of the beliefs that the people in the Amazon have on pink dolphins, some of them being those magical powers that are mentioned in the book. A wonderful book indeed, a wonderful lesson. But for now, we have our amazing guests here, and they will be here teaching us some amazing things. So let's welcome them back. Hey, Brittany.
Hi. Thank you so much. That is such a great story.
Oh, it is a wonderful story.
The illustrations are beautiful. So I hope you all enjoyed that as much as I did.
Yes. A big thank you to Amazing Things Press for allowing us to read it here today.
Yes, thank you very much. I hope everyone learned a little something, and maybe you've never heard of a river dolphin before. So there are actually quite a few species of them all throughout the world. So they're pretty cool creatures.
Yeah.
But I am going to actually talk to you guys before we bring Dr. Gomez back. I want to talk to you guys about one in particular that the National Marine Mammal Foundation has done some work with recently. So River dolphins of all kinds are considered marine mammals, right? But have you ever thought about what a marine mammal is? Well, we can start with what is a mammal? So think about that. You can also put it in the chat if you'd like. Adriana is watching the chat. Give me some characteristics of a mammal. What makes a mammal a mammal? We are mammals. Your dog is a mammal. Your horse. What are some things that mammals have that other animals like reptiles or birds might not? Go ahead and put it in the chat, and Adriana is going to shout them out to me. And if you don't know, that's okay. We'll go over it, but maybe take some guesses if you're not quite sure. Guessing is part of the fun. There's usually 5 or so that are like main characteristics of a mammal.
Brittany, will you give us a hint? What is the first characteristic of a mammal?
Sure, let's do the first one. So for one, mammals have hair, right? Have you ever seen a hairy snake before? And a lot of people say, well, I've never seen a hairy dolphin either, right? But a dolphin is a marine mammal. But a fun fact about dolphins is when they're born, they actually have a few hairs on their rostrum, or that long snout that they have. But they fall out a few days after the dolphin is born. So that's kind of a trick question. Some people are like, well, dolphins don't have hair. They do, but only for a few days right after they're born. So that's one hint. What else? Let's see. Do humans have gills?
Brittany, Nathan said exactly that. Mammals don't have gills.
Wow. Yeah, I can't even see. That's awesome. Exactly. Yeah. So we don't have gills. We breathe air. Let's see. What else? Do we lay eggs? Birds lay eggs, right? Let's go through some of these. So yes, they have hair and they breathe air. So excellent job, Nathan. Yes. So marine mammals as well, they have that blowhole on top of their head. And so that is why dolphins come up to the surface to catch a breath before they go back under. We breathe air, but like sharks and fish, they have gills, right? So that's a difference there. We are warm-blooded, which means we are able to regulate our body temperature. So no matter where we are, if it's cold or hot, our body internally typically stays at a pretty constant temperature. But reptiles, for example, if you ever see a lizard laying on a rock, right, because they're getting kind of cold, they don't have the ability to warm their own bodies. So they have to find environments to either warm or cool their bodies. But mammals like us and marine mammals don't have to do that. We produce milk, so we are able to produce the food for our young. And finally, we give live birth. So we do not lay eggs like reptiles and birds. We actually give birth to live young. So those are some characteristics of mammals. So a marine mammal is essentially a mammal that's adapted to rely on the ocean in some way. So dolphins, manatees, sea otters, right? Those are all marine mammals, but also polar bears are considered a marine mammal. And that's because they rely on the ocean or the marine environment to get their food. So they don't necessarily have to live in the ocean to be considered a marine mammal. They just rely on the ocean for their survival. So one in particular that we want to talk to you about today, since we just read about PACO the pink river dolphin, another type of river dolphin is the Franciscana dolphin. And this is a species that is a vulnerable species that has been found throughout the course of South America. And so the star right there is actually where we are here down in San Diego, California. So Mr. Lamata is a little higher up than that star is, but you can see the orange down here on the map. That is where the Franciscana dolphin lives. Locally, they are called the La Plata dolphin, but they live in the shallow coastal waters off of Brazil, Uruguay, and Argentina. So that is the only place in the world that you can find the Franciscana or La Plata dolphin. And what we say when an animal is specific to an area is we call that animal endemic. So if you hear a species is endemic, that means you can only find it in that area of the world. So the Franciscana dolphin is endemic to the shallow coastal waters of Brazil, Uruguay, and Argentina. Some fun facts about our friend the La Plata river dolphin. So it is actually the only species of river dolphin that lives in saltwater. And sometimes male animals are usually larger than the female animals, but for the Franciscana, the female dolphins are actually larger than the males. When they're born, they're very tiny. They're only about 2.5 feet long. But then when they get full grown, they can be up to about the size of a 4-door car. So not as big as a whale per se, but they can get fairly large. And they actually eat 76 different types of prey species. And 83% of their diet is fish. So these guys rely on a lot of different animals in their environment to survive and feed off of. So we were talking about how the Franciscana or La Plata dolphin is a vulnerable species, right? So I actually want to bring Dr. Gomez back to talk a little bit about why this species is decreasing, but also what the National Marine Mammal Foundation and other organizations are doing to preserve this species. So Dr. Gomez, go ahead and take it away.
Hello. Thank you, Brittany. That was a great introduction to the Franciscana. And just to tell you all a little bit about what we are trying to do to help, our area of expertise is really in marine mammal medicine, and we do have a specialty in raising neonate cetaceans from a very young age. And so following Vaquita CPR, an effort that we were involved with to help try to save the very smallest porpoise in Mexico, in Baja, after that effort, a group of us got together from all over the world to talk about what other species are the most likely to go extinct in the near future. Just looking forward, trying to work on the problems that these species are facing earlier before the population numbers get really, really low. Once the population numbers get low for any of these species, every action or intervention that you try to do is inherently that much harder. So the idea behind our work with the Franciscana Dolphin Project is to bring collaborators together from all over the world with a focus, of course, on South America, where the animals live, to try to see if we can improve their success rate with the rehabilitation of neonates or baby Franciscana dolphins. The organizations that are working so hard down there in the 3 countries that Brittany mentioned, they all work around the clock trying to keep these babies alive when they come in need of help. And they're having a hard time keeping them alive. And so a few of us from the National Marine Mammal Foundation got together with another nonprofit, South American nonprofit called Yacupacha. And together we've raised some funds to try to work on this problem and write new protocols and help the local experts down in South America try some different techniques and see if we can have a better success rate. We are at a place with a lot of these species where every individual does count. And so if we can improve the care for these baby dolphins, we're hopeful that then not only will those individual animals do better, but then when they're ideally released out into the wild, they go on to have babies themselves and potentially help the population long term. Our group is still fairly new. We've been working together just before COVID, but then COVID hit and we got a little slowed down. But we're going gangbusters now, and our partnership is fantastic. The South American collaborators that we work with are just phenomenal, and they're working so hard for this species. And we, as marine mammal veterinary experts, are just trying to help them in whatever way that we can. My hope is that once we get these neonate protocols and techniques down, we're hoping to travel there and train some of them one-on-one. And then also we're hoping to help them kind of coordinate between the 3 countries, all of the efforts for the Franciscana, and more importantly, try to help them look at what the big problems are. We are veterinarians, so we're really focused on that, but we recognize the larger problems, and so we try to contribute where we can. They are suffering from being caught in fishing nets. That's the primary problem especially with these young ones. The mothers will get caught in nets, and then the babies are alone. And so they'll wash up on shore by themselves without a mother that they need at that stage in their life. And then also pollution. Pollution is, of course, another big problem. And to be honest, we actually don't know that much about the health of these animals. There's a lot of what we call data gaps or knowledge gaps, where we don't know exactly what's going on, how the pollutants are affecting them, etc. So the other wonderful thing about these rehabilitation efforts is while those animals are in these caregivers' hands, we can learn more about the species, learn more potentially about the toxins that are affecting them, and or how the nets are getting in the way, and then try to make recommendations for ways to improve these problems. So that's us. That's our group in a nutshell. I don't know, Brittany, if you had anything else specific you wanted me to touch on.
Yeah, no, that was great for us. So the key takeaway that I want everyone to understand is that this species is on the decline due to human drivers, right? And that it's a lot more complicated than humans just throwing fishing nets in the water, right? People in these areas rely on fishing and rely on the health of these ecosystems to live their lives, to drive their economy. And so these issues are a bit more complex than people just fishing and throwing nets in the water, right? And the Franciscana dolphin is very important because it contributes to the balance of the ecosystem. And so while people rely on this ecosystem to survive and feed their families and make a living, if the Franciscana dolphin is not protected and disappears, the whole ecosystem could potentially collapse. So it's a bigger issue than just preserving one species, right? We need to do that in order to keep longevity for the people who live there, their livelihoods, and future generations to come. So thank you, Forrest, so much for touching on that. For those of you that we're able to print the coloring sheet. Forrest and Mr. Lamata are going to talk a little bit more, but feel free to color. I actually don't have a printer in my home, so like maybe some of you. And so I am actually just going to draw my own Franciscana dolphin while Forrest and Mr. Lamata talk. But these will also be available on our website afterwards if you would like to print them at a later time. And before Mr. Lamata and Forrest get talking, some things that you can do no matter where you live in the world. These animals have a lot of things going on in their environment, right? So it's up to us to reduce the stressors in their environment. So some things you can do: using less plastic, cleaning up your local neighborhood, even if you're, walking around your neighborhood with your dog and you don't live near an ocean. When it rains, all of that trash on the street goes with that rainwater into the sewers and eventually into the ocean, right? So it's our job to keep our local areas clean and to obviously spread the word about keeping our oceans and our neighborhoods clean. So thank you all so much. If you like this presentation, please visit us at www.nmmf.org and follow us on social media. But I'm going to stop sharing my screen and let Mr. Lamata and Dr. Gomez take it away.
Oh, thank you, Brittany. Thank you. And thank you to Dr. Gomez for just highlighting those things. And you were answering most of my questions as we were going. So it's fun to see. And I want, just reminding the people out there too, that you can find more information on the National Marine Mammal Foundation website, which is the nmmf.org. Please do go there and you find all that information. And then in the comments, I did put, so if you do go to the comments, you will also be able to find that link to the Storytime website, where you'll be able to print out those activity sheets that the National Marine Mammal Foundation was so graciously able to make for us. So please find them, get working on those. And then if you do have your coloring sheet, your puzzle, everything that is done, and you hope to share it with us, please, then you can go ahead and just scan this barcode that we have there on top, and it will go directly onto our Padlet, and Adriana and Brittany will be able to, put it together and hopefully show it out here. So just let us know if you want us to show it on the screen to everybody. But thank you so much, everybody, for joining in. And Dr. Gomez, one of the things you mentioned was partnering with people in those communities, where the animals are endemic to. And now I've learned a new word.
Yeah, good, very good.
So how do you go in? How does the foundation approach these spaces, respectfully, and also realizing that, if we're all being asked to participate in conservation and everything, like, how do we then work together as a team? How does the organization show up and not just boss people around, but actually work together?
Yes, no, I'm so glad that you asked that question, because it really is at the heart of what we're trying to do, is to just provide our expertise, because the reality is that in all of these places, they have equally wonderful organizations doing wonderful things with the resources that they have for their communities, whether it's animal, human, etc. And so we are just trying to offer our expertise to these groups that are working so hard to save their local species. We sometimes refer to them as the species of your childhood, right? Wherever you live, you have species that are near and dear to you because you grew up with them. And so we're waiting for those experts to kind of come, those species experts or community experts to come to us, really, but also put our name out there so that they know we're around to help, and then to partner and to work together. We also do live in the United States, and so we have means here to help fundraise for these organizations, right? And try to help them in whatever way that we can. And so our entire intention is to do it with them, and as respectfully as possible, and to aid them in whatever way that we can as we try to help these different species around the world.
No, wonderful. And just thinking too, like I can't stop smiling because I just keep thinking about how you're from Oakland, how you're from, like close to Emerson, and how, like as a woman of color too, like you're representing so much, and just also as a woman in itself too, just the little girls that are watching right now, the little kids that are watching, showing us that these things are possible, like you can go on to do amazing work, and you can go on, go to Cal, go to all these, like school. But also I want at one point Brittany to come on and talk about, I know she had an amazing path through college, which went through community college, and I'd love for many kids out there to hear it too. But another thing that I have for you was, your work is amazing. It is cool. It's easy to just say, oh, that work is cool. But how do we then bring it and actually make people realize that it is important work?
Right. Oh, so many things in there. Well, I do definitely want to touch upon, that there is a huge need for a varied voice within our scientific community. It traditionally hasn't been very diverse, and so we are really hoping to increase that diversity within the marine mammal community, the scientific community, and the veterinary community, frankly. And so if that is something that sparks joy, that is your passion, no matter where you're from, there is room, and we need those voices to have a more healthy perspective and culture, to be able to try to solve these problems. And so I welcome everybody. And there's a woman named Dr. Ayanna Johnson. She's African-American and from Brooklyn, and she's an oceanographer, a PhD in oceanography, and she's doing amazing work with climate change and climate justice. And she has a really neat saying. I read some of her messaging for kids recently, and it was, one of the main messages was, we can't do this alone. And she said, find your crew. And she said that a lot of kids will come to her because climate change really is, kind of the problem of our generation, especially even the younger generation. And kids will come to her kind of overwhelmed. And that's how I feel. How do I help? How do I fix? And she had some really neat advice, which was, I don't know if kids are familiar with what a Venn diagram is, but it's three circles. And she said, you need to draw 3 circles. And in one circle, you put what you're good at. And where you might kind of excel, like maybe math's easy for you, or maybe you're really good at sports. Whatever you're good at, you put in one circle. And then in another one, you put what work needs to be done, if it's climate change or whatever the problem is that you're interested in. And then the other one, you put what you love. What is your passion? And where those three things meet is where there's an opportunity for absolutely everyone. And I read that the other day, and I just thought that was so important, because the problems can seem so overwhelming.
Right.
Or, if you are from a place like Oakland or there's many places like that, or don't have the resources, they're out there. And one of the ways that I kind of found my path was through kind of finding my crew, right? And finding mentors that believed in me and that helped me. And that's just so important to making all of these projects and these career paths come to fruition. Little bit of a tangent. You asked me a couple questions.
No, it's amazing. I love tangents, because I think that's where the gold is, right? Like that's
right,
right. So I love it. No, absolutely. And if there are more tangents, please feel free to take them.
Okay, I can't remember your last question now.
It was you answered it accurately, because it was definitely like how, just how your work is important, and how it's not just cool work, but it's important work, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's why, one of the reasons I love it so much is I do have this desire to help. It's just inherent in me. It's from my family and my upbringing, and I want to help. And so, at first that was caregiving for individual animals and taking care of individual animals as I learned to be a doctor. And now I'm transitioning that into trying to care for larger populations as a whole, and the ecosystems and communities that they depend on. And that does feel good. So that's, for my circle, that's something that brings me joy.
Oh, wonderful. And then, like you mentioned, you touched on a few things. I come from, as you know, Emerson is a Title I school. So we don't have many resources. We can't afford many things. We have to sacrifice the times you choose. Do we have PE, or do we have a librarian? Or do we have, you every time you're making decisions like that. So for the Marine Mammal Foundation, are there programs that are designed to help students like ours? I want every student to be helped, but I'm also thinking of students in cases like our school. Are there any programs? How can we maybe bring you to the school? How can we expose our kids to these things?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think there are definitely programs. And I'll answer real quick, and then I might actually ask Brittany and Adriana to chime in, because they're so deep in education and outreach. But we do a lot through the foundation. And so that's absolutely one resource. I was exposed when I lived there to some really neat programs. One was at the Marine Mammal Center in Sausalito. I went on a field trip over there as a younger student, and that really first opened my eyes to marine mammals. And I know, my first job in Oakland as a high schooler was to bring kids that had never seen the redwoods before, real big trees. In buses. We loaded up buses every day, and we drove up to the big trees so that they could get out and see nature. And that was, I don't want to age myself, but that was a while ago. So these programs have been going on for a while, and they definitely are there. And they're so important. So I'm going to let you talk more about that, Brittany, just because this is what you guys do.
Yeah, thank you, Forrest. So speaking for the National Marine Mammal Foundation specifically, we actually offer programming to schools for free. We can call into your classroom. We can provide you with a scientist. We have lots of great programs and activities on a variety of different topics. So that is all available through our website, booking those and seeing what we have available. So if you're an educator out there, or even if you're a student out there and you're like, I want to teach my classmates, call us up and we will come talk to you. But I will say that, no matter where you live, I think it's really important to just take advantage of what's around you. I grew up in the middle of nowhere. The nearest grocery store was 30 minutes away in a super small farm town. And when I told people I wanted to be a marine biologist, they were all like, you need notion for that, right? But I was telling Mr. Lamata earlier, I went to community college because, I was kind of on my own as far as schooling went. And so when I got 2 years free to go to junior college, I took it and I worked while I was there. I also knew, because I wanted to be a marine biologist, I was going to have to eventually go to an ocean. I knew that eventually, right?
Mm-hmm.
So by going to community college, I not only feel like I got a very great education because I was in smaller class sizes, but also because I was able to work, save money, live from home, so that when those opportunities, like coming to intern for the National Marine Mammal Foundation before I worked here, came available, I was able to take advantage. And I think that's something that's maybe not talked about enough. There's a lot of pressure on students to know exactly what you want to do and how you're going to do it, right? But Dr. Gomez had a career and then went back to be a veterinarian, and Adriana and I both thought we wanted to be veterinarians and like other places. And I feel like it's just constant learning and growth, and every opportunity. The biggest piece of advice I can give is to take every opportunity you are given and learn something from it, even if it's, wow, I am very content never doing that again, right? That's a lesson. That's a lesson, and that's very valuable.
That is true.
You know, I think it's okay to maybe not go to state university right away. It's okay to not know what you want to be and what you want to do right away. Forrest, I might make a Venn diagram later today.
No, I was thinking that too.
You know, so we do offer these programs, but you know, even if you're interested in marine science and working with animals, just volunteering at a local animal shelter is a great place to start. If maybe you don't live near an ocean, right? If you just have a local animal shelter that you can volunteer your time at, that we've all started there. All of us started there. If you're, and just utilizing your strengths. You know, I was horrible at math growing up, and a lot of people were like, you can't be a biologist if you can't do math. That's a lie. You know, it just find your people that support you, lift you up, and help utilize your strengths, and also foster you through your challenges. It's very important.
No, that's amazing. And you know, like the team that we have here today, it's 3 women, and it's just you know, like you say your organization is women led, and what does that mean? And also just You mentioned that your mission talks about you being the leading lab. You hope to be the leading lab in marine science. And so what would that look like for you? Or what does that look like? What's that vision? Maybe let's start with the women-led organization first. Like what does that mean for the Marine Mammal Foundation? And anyone can take it. Adriana?
I think that I've had the opportunity of working at a lot of different organizations, and the National Marine Mammal Foundation brings, because it has that woman leadership, it brings a different kind of empathy and understanding. And I mean, being able to sit here with this amazing group of women today and talk about something that is really close to our heart is really meaningful. All week long, I have been jumping off the seats of my pants because I've been so excited to be here and talk about not only what's happening to our environment and how slowly but surely different species are disappearing, which more than often is related to human impact, but also what it is to be a diverse woman. And we all have different backgrounds and different stories that make us special. And that specialness hopefully resonates with someone else out there, and they want to continue inspiring other people and creating meaningful change in our environment. And we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for our leadership team. So thank you.
No, that's
thank you, Forrest.
No, that's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. And I completely agree with everything you just said. And I mean, it is, as a woman, you know, it's very empowering to work for a woman and to have a woman-led organization. But, you know, we love the balance. We strive for the balance. Absolutely. Because it takes all, but it is empowering as a woman. And I think that it's also important as a scientist. The scientific community has been just historically very challenging for women to break into, and the culture is really challenging, to be honest, in a lot of places. What's the movie, you guys? I'm blanking right now. Picture a Scientist. If anyone is interested in that subject, I highly recommend a documentary called Picture a Scientist, which talks about the struggle of being a woman in academia or a PhD. And so it's just nice to be part of the solution to that, you know, because the world is changing and we get to be a part of that solution, and that's exciting, and hopefully pick up young women and men. You know, I'm a boy mom, and so I see the flip side of it too, and how important it is to teach these women or feminine issues to him, so that he can go be our advocate as well.
Right, and hopefully we get to a point where we don't even have to talk about like it just becomes the norm, right?
Just
so
normal.
yeah,
Yes.
I absolutely agree with you on that. And then your mission, you know, you mentioned I don't know if Brittany had something to add to that.
I think my colleagues nailed it.
Okay, just one of the things that your mission, again going back to that, it mentions to protect life for marine mammals, humans, and our shared ocean through science, service, and education. So I was looking at that, and Adriana, you mentioned like usually the impact on all these things is human led. So I was just wondering, in that mission, like, why do we need, or what does that mean to protect the humans in there?
Yeah, that's
like,
that's a great question. Usually people, you know, you see a lot of people who are like, humans are the issue, but you know, humans are also the solution, and we as a species are an empathetic species, right? We have the capability of caring for other people, other species, other environments, right? And sometimes it just gets a little lost. And I think we are all in balance with one another, and without the Franciscana, humans cannot thrive in that area of the world. Without the critically endangered vaquita porpoise in Baja California down in Mexico, without the vaquita, that ecosystem, and ultimately those people that live there, right? We're all very tied. A lot of people rely on the environment for, like I said earlier, their livelihoods, their way of life, it's cultural preservation, right? Marine conservation, coastline preservation is cultural preservation for the people that live there. And so it's not just saving one species, it's saving the entire ecosystem, and also the people that rely on that ecosystem to live. Right. I will let Dr. Gomez chime in on that as well.
No, you did an excellent job. Yeah, it's all interconnected, and you know, the main problems that we face are anthropogenic, meaning human caused problems, and also habitat destruction.
I'm learning so many words from you. I'm like I should be writing down.
Just glad I remembered to define it. And habitat destruction, right? And those things impact all of us. Pollution impacts human health. Habitat destruction impacts human health. And to be honest, all of these problems are impacting communities of color more than others. And so it's really important that we all mobilize to help the communities, human, animal, and the environment. There is still time and there is still hope, but we need to act. So we have to have the human part in our mission. You can't do this in a bubble. It's been done in a bubble before, and it's more challenging because a lot of the solutions that are good for animals aren't good for people. And that's not going to work, right?
Right.
So you have to come at it together.
And I think that echoes Forrest's point earlier about making sure that as many voices as possible are at the table. And that's not just veterinarians, scientists, and government, right? It's people who are indigenous to those communities. It's people who are impacted by the effects in those communities. So that's why we really try and preserve not only the people around those ecosystems, but trying to promote diversity in conservation and marine science, because we need more diverse voices at the table when decisions are being made and efforts are being made to preserve ecosystems and species.
Yeah, no, that's so lovely, so wonderfully put. And just, as we are coming to a close, just thinking too, I feel like there's so much more that I still want to ask and talk about. It's just so little time, but just maybe one round again. Just one would be just at a personal level for you. Like what fulfills you in the work that you do, and just like even away from the organization, but just at a personal level, what is it that fulfills you in your job? And then hopefully we can also plug in at some point where people can find outreach, where people can go and, be able to reach you, how they can have you in their spaces, whether it's a homeschooling, situation or a regular school. What is it? How can people get you? But first of all, what fulfills you personally in your job?
Yes, I'm unmuted, so I'll just go. Lots of things, but when I was growing up, I decided I wanted to be a marine biologist because I was influenced by somebody. And it's amazing that one person, LeVar Burton for me, from Reading Rainbow, for those of you that remember, while we're on the topic of books with story time, he's the one who inspired me. And it's just amazing to me that one person can make such a pivotal change in somebody's life, one experience. And if I can be that person or provide that experience to just one person, I will be as fulfilled as I can. A lot recently, though, getting local communities involved in conserving their resources has come to the forefront of my priorities. But at the end of the day, I just want to empower people to either, whether it's develop empathy, make a change, use less plastic, whatever it is. I just want to ignite that spark and that empathy in somebody. And so that's what drives me day to day.
I guess I'll go. For me, again, life changes. You start with something, and then all of a sudden your life gets revolutionized and you want to do something else. And for me, the more that I've gone into education and translated materials into my original language, which is Spanish, knowing that when I was a kid, I had the passion for it, but I didn't have the foundation for it. So really being able to do this work in Spanish and inspire people that have had my same upbringing and hopefully share that passion and be that person that inspires them to have an impact in their oceans and their communities. I started seeing corals declining at a very young age, and I saw that impact, and I didn't know what it meant, but I knew that I wanted to be the change that needed to happen for the local corals, the animals that were living around me, but I really didn't know what it meant. And I want kids that are growing up in Puerto Rico and other Hispanic communities to understand what they're seeing and want to change it, because it's in our hands. It's not in the government's hand. It's not on our parents or grandparents. It's really on our hands, and our everyday change that we can create will definitely have an impact on that.
Thank you for that. Dr. Gomez?
I don't even need to talk, you guys. Oh man, just real quick. I mean, what fulfills me, I really am lucky in that I have landed in, if I were to write my dream job, I'm landing in it, and I'm kind of, it's still growing, it's changing, and I like the direction it's going in. And it's because as much as I love taking care of the individual animal, I also love the bigger picture. And right now I'm getting to work in teams, which brings me huge satisfaction. I don't like working by myself. I like working with others. And so having that wonderful team and then to have it be international sometimes and or diverse, trying to help people is just really wonderful. My happy place will always be in the water with a wild dolphin or on a boat. I like the adventure and the excitement, but getting to try to take on some of these challenges in the small piece that I can. If I could do anything in the world, I would fix climate change, but I don't know how to do that. So I'm trying to do my little part. And so being able to do that in the environment, in the ocean, with animals and people from different walks of life is just lovely.
No. Thank you so much to all of you, really, for sharing that. It's just, I see how like everything is coming from the heart and shows the impact too that you're having. And I hope that people watching out here today, whether now live or later on, pick up something, learn something, and know ways in which they can find you. Which, talking of, where can people find you?
Yeah, you can visit our website, which is right down there at the bottom, www.nmmf .org. We are also on social media, so Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff. But going on our website, you will be able to learn more about the Franciscana, more about the critically endangered vaquita porpoise, more about our team. And also you'll go to the education outreach section, and that's where you'll find us, our resources, and where to contact us if you have any more questions, or if you want to book your own program, or if you want us to come visit your classroom, visit your Girl Scout or Boy Scout troop, visit your museum, whatever, we will be there. So that's where you can find us. But thank you, Mr. Lamata, so much for having us today. Seriously.
No, this was an absolute pleasure. Like when Adriana and I have talked about things for a long time, and I'm glad that this came to fruition, and just, meeting you, Brittany, Dr. Gomez, it's just been such an honor. And please keep breaking those glass ceilings, and let's, bringing that change. It's much needed, and I just appreciate it. I think if I was asked how did I want to spend my day today, this was the perfect way. Definitely. I can go to bed now, But it's been such a pleasure. And I think a big thank you to your organization, the National Marine Mammal Foundation, for allowing us this space, for allowing us this time, because, it takes a willing leadership to do things like that, to be able to collaborate like this. So a big thank you to them, and not forgetting to our partners today, who were PACO and the Pink Dolphin, and of course Amazing Things Press, SARAH Huang, Casey. Thank you so much for allowing us also to read the book here. And just like I said, like Adriana, Brittany, and Dr. Gomez have mentioned, please find the National Marine Mammal Foundation and let them come to your spaces. I can attest as a teacher who's hosted them in his classroom, and I've appreciated the work that is done, and I've seen my students appreciate that work. So let us please, as we're going into our weekend, remember that amazing work is happening, and we can do bits to support it. So thank you so much for joining in Storytime today. And ladies, I will catch you in the studio in a minute. But thank you everybody for joining in today. And I will see you again on Monday for more story time. And this week, it has been a wonderful, wonderful week. Excellent week indeed. Amazing guests, amazing people doing amazing work. And I hope that you enjoyed every single bit that we had here. Please remember to be thankful for everybody that was here with us this week, taking their time to spend with us here on Storytime. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. Have a lovely week where you are. I appreciate each and every one of you, sending you hugs and kisses wherever you are. Have yourself a wonderful, wonderful week. And of course, if you're trying to get hold of the National Marine Mammal Foundation outreach team, please, if you forget where to find them, just reach out to me, send me a message. I will get in touch with the team. Thank you so much for being here. Have yourselves a beautiful, beautiful day. And remember, like Dr. Gomez said, you can play your little part. It matters. Just that little part, what might seem unimportant, or it might seem like it's not enough, but that little bit counts. It makes a difference in your community. Much love from me, and love as always. Bye-bye.
He will be starting soon. Oh, story time with Mr. Lamata, where all your dreams come true. Oh, he brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't leave lonely, won't you start all the reading? I just can't wait to be hearing. Ooh, story time. Story time with Mr. Lamata. He will be starting soon. Story time with Mr. Lamata, where all your dreams come true. Oh, he brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't leave lonely, won't you start all the reading? We just can't wait to be hearing. Brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't leave lonely, won't you start all the reading? We just can't wait to be hearing